What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Darkfriend Social. It's been a long time. I don't even know how long it's been, but it's been a while since we've had to do this. And fortunately, we're bringing the show back, and we got a lot to talk about. Um, like there were some reruns of Alf on the other day that we're going to talk about and break down in detail, frame by frame. How many of you actually remember Alf? I was talking about this on Twitter earlier. Uh, we'll see. But before we get to talking about Ralph, let me bring on my special guests. Uh, First, Lauren from Unraveling the Pattern.
Hello.
Welcome. And Sarah from WoTSeries.com. What's up?
Hello. Not much. How are you?
I'm awesome. Sarah is my most frequentest guest, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And Lauren comes on like twice a year, so this is an this is an experience.
Special occasion. So let's get right into it. I was thinking about the Tanner family and how Alf really just messed with their lives.
Right.
You know, like that must have just been so difficult for them. There's these shots I want to zoom in on.
Do you have all the screen caps?
I've been rewatching the entire series run for this, so I'm ready.
Yeah, we're ready for the Alf breakdown. All joking aside, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to break down the clips. So for those that have been hiding under a rock or perhaps haven't been paying attention to YouTube, this past week was the New York Comic Con, which is a yearly thing. Last year, Wheel of Time had a presence there, but they did not get to show up in person. They did like a virtual panel. I guess that's the word I'm using. But this year they were all there in person. So Rafe Judkins, Daniel Henney, Madeline Madden, Marcus Rutherford, Donal Finn, and Kira Coveney were all there in person. They released it, and then actually there was a video from Rosman, which we'll also talk about. Lots of information there to chat about, but then also they released a teaser clip for season 2. It's not a lot, but it's like a lot of frames, and all of us have released like breakdown videos, but we'll get a chance to chat about it with somebody else. Lauren got his video out in record time for Lauren. Am I wrong?
You're right. It was.
I was very impressed.
I was like on all cylinders on Saturday.
You beat me to it, and not that I'm like speedy, but you kicked my ass with that, man.
It was nice. It was nice that John from What Up was out of town. Really gave me the one up on him.
Yeah, because he'd have his up 5 minutes after it was over. Somehow.
Yeah. He literally messaged me today and he's like, I just got back. I just saw the teaser. I'll have a video out soon. And it was out within 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
He's a machine. Yeah.
But we have a ton to break down. So there's a lot of fun. I guess what I'm going to start with, just in case anybody has not seen it, I'm going to go ahead and play the teaser clip. I am not going to play like the beginning. So on this teaser, they did like a give you a seizure recap of the first season where they just flashed like 100 different still pics, basically. I'm not going to show that part. And I'm not going to show like the 30 seconds afterwards of like Amazon promoting stuff. But I will show the 30 seconds from that's for season 2. And then we'll get to chatting about it. I've got some still images and things like that. So let's go ahead and watch this again.
We didn't defeat the Dark One. We set his strongest lieutenant free. He may be waking the Forsaken. You have no conception of the power they wield.
The only way to stop all this suffering is to stop the wheel itself.
So quick.
It was okay.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's so much packed into 30 seconds there that it's like, wow, there's a lot there. Before we dive in and kind of get into some of the clips, I guess general reactions to seeing this. Let's start with you, Unraveling the Pattern.
Unraveling. Did you hear Moraine say we didn't defeat the Dark One? We set his strongest Alf tenant free. She said that.
Alf tenant. Well, she does pronounce lieutenant differently. So
really weird. Lieutenant.
Yes, lieutenant.
I noticed. I think in Rings of Power they do that as well, which is whatever. Honestly, we've had such a dry spell, and then there was that little promise of origins that we still haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting anything. And so when we got that teaser, I was watching it live. And then when they kept cutting away from the clips, I was getting pretty angry because I spent money to have the access to the digital version of that. And anyway, when they finally released the teaser, I was like, oh, okay, I can forgive them. It really did hype me up. I was surprised by the spoilers though that are right in that teaser. That was kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to mention real quick about spoilers. So Sarah's colleague at WoTSeries.com, Geeky Eerie, has a video out that kind of breaks down what she believes to be the plot for season 2. I was going to make a video like that, and now I have no reason to do it whatsoever because she did it and better than I would. So definitely check that video out. I'll be referencing it some here tonight. But Sarah, what were your general thoughts on the teaser?
I mean, I thought it was pretty exciting. I think it was Lauren, maybe you pointed this out, but I liked how the color grading looked a little bit grittier, but still colorful. But I don't know, just had a little bit of a different vibe that I really liked. And yeah, I was surprised how much they had packed into that. And they just straight up went with the whole "this guy's not the Dark One" thing right off the bat.
Right?
Yeah. Speaking of the color grading, I completely agree. I think I did mention that in my video. The thing is, one of the complaints that people had about season 1 is that it felt a little too clean, a little too bright, a little too saturated. I liked some of the color choices they made in season 1, but something about this teaser did just feel a little higher quality. I mean, even the fabric and the costumes felt a little higher budget. Like everything about it just felt a little bit better. And it was nice to see characters like Matt and Perrin looking kind of dirty and disheveled and not totally clean.
Well, so I'll throw this picture up on that topic. We're going to kind of skip around a little bit. So this is Matt at the end of last season. See that? See what he's wearing? It's the last time we saw Matt. Here is Matt in this season. He is still wearing the same outfit. Get that boy some new clothes.
That must smell so bad. I'm just throwing that out there.
I wonder how many actual versions of that, outfit there are.
Well, and he looks like he's been crawling through mud too. So yes. Now the question on this specific picture, because I saw Matt from the Dusty Wheel tweeting this out, like that in the background is the set for Falma.
Right.
So if that's the set from Falma, that means that he's now gone from the White Tower where we know he is, because they showed a clip of him talking to Leandrin that we didn't all get to see. But then, now he's here and he's wearing the same clothing, which is very interesting. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, so in my teaser breakdown, I was like, there's just no way that Matt's wearing the same clothing in, episode 6, 7, whenever they're in Falma. It's got to be, this has to be early on. Like, but then when people pointed out, no, these are the same sets that we know were in Falma, or I think it's Morocco, right, Sarah? And so it was just like, oh, okay. So my concern is one of the things I'm most looking forward to, and we know Matt is in Tar Valon, is him getting his luck and that whole luxury. And by the way, I don't know, have we talked about spoilers?
Oh,
I mean, I assume
this is always spoilers. People know that.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. So that's something I really want to see is, the luck and him gaining luck and then going and buying himself a fancy shirt or,
right.
Like kind of, anyway, so I am nervous that same clothes 6 episodes or 8 episodes later.
Well, Rafe sort of implied that we would be getting a version of Matt fighting Galad and Gawain, right? Like, I think he did at least. Like, he sort of implied it. He didn't out and out say it. Like, you'll be getting that, but he kind of did, right? Like, that was a while back.
Well, unless it's something about doing it in like a believable way or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is why Nae'Blis doing it instead. No, I'm kidding. God. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Don't believe that.
First of all, I love Nae'Blis to death, but I will be pretty upset if they go the route of we're going to make Nae'Blis a Blade Master or she's badass enough as she was. Like, just leave her. So to be clear, I do not think they're going that route. Just because they show her fighting in the teaser doesn't mean all of a sudden. I've seen some crazy jumps of logic on some of the
Yes.
comments. Like, they're making Nynaeve basically land. Like, oh my God. No, they're not.
I love it. I mean, Nynaeve had a sword for 10 seconds in season 1, and people seem to have forgotten that. Like,
right?
It's in character that she would pick up a sword and try to work out some anger issues. It's not in
Well,
character
especially if they do the whole block angle. She's going
Right.
to want some alternative way because she knows that it's not dependable.
Well, and there's a theme of that. There's in the teaser you see Moraine with a knife because she can't channel. Like, it kind of makes sense that they still need to be able to defend themselves. So I actually kind of like that contrast between, or not even contrast, is the parallels between Moraine and Nynaeve there. So,
well, real quick here, Adam, Matt will wear. First of all, thank you for the tip here. Matt will wear the one outfit until he finally gets to start wearing some lace.
Can you imagine?
That thing is going to stand up by itself by the time.
Right?
It's going to fall off. Do you guys, I mean, do you think they're going to keep pushing the, oh, poor Matt, always down on his luck, can't even hardly afford to get new clothes? Are they going to keep pushing that angle? I guess I was under the impression that was going to be resolved pretty quickly.
I think it'll be resolved mostly this season.
Well, they talked a lot about Matt's, like Donal in his interview on the panel talked about Matt. This is like transformational for Matt, and I do think you're going to see that because if if he's just emo Matt the whole time, like that'll get old really quickly. Like,
yeah.
By the way, this reminded me. I got a comment on one of my videos about Matt being boring in the first 2 books because he doesn't do much, right? Like I said that. I said like Matt kind of just exists and is annoying. Like he's nobody's favorite character through book 1.
Right.
Right? Like what is there to love about Matt in book 1?
Oh, in book 2 as well. Is there anything to love about him?
Nothing really. He blows a horn. But they acted like you must never have read the books because Matt is the most fleshed out character in books 1. It's just like, okay, boy.
Well, and to me, it's that moment in Tarvalon when his luck changes after he's healed.
Right.
And he becomes the Matt we know and love. And
yeah,
they have to show that.
We don't even get a POV from Matt until then.
Right. And it would be bad to wait another season to do that. Now's the time, especially if they're going to book 4 for season 3. Like,
agreed.
You got to get his luck going.
Totally agree.
So why is he wearing that dirty clothing?
That's a great question. It's a great question, and I cannot wait to find that out. So, I real quick before we get into too much, I want to mention one thing that I also think they gave away a little bit, and that had nothing to do with the teaser, but it was Rosamund's clip that she released on her Instagram, which you can tell by the way that Rosamund just decided to create on her own. Like, I don't think that was, I don't know.
Yeah, I think she grabbed her phone and grabbed someone nearby and they shot it. Yeah.
Yeah. She mentions that they're going to go to Kyrian, which I think definitely gives away some of the plot. So confirmed, we're going to go to Kyrian.
Mm-hmm.
What that does for me though, is I think, you tell me if you have a different take. I think it eliminates the fact I don't think we're seeing Tyr at all. I think I think that happens next season.
I think they moved it back, and I've been kind of on that train for a while, but the longer we go, the more confident I am that they're gonna, I don't know exactly when, but I think it's gonna be after Rhaen gets the Aiel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is, Kalendor is so important at like Path of Daggers. But anything before that, it's not that important. And it's a little odd that he pulls the sword from the stone and then puts the sword back in the stone. And then, so I actually prefer that they wait until after. I like the idea that Rand doesn't become King Rand until after he becomes Karakarn Rand. That he learns from the Aiel how to be a leader. And then he uses some of that. My opinion is they go to Kyrian. I don't know if they're going to do this, but chasing, what's his name? The Aiel bad guy in book 4's and
Couladin.
Yeah, Couladin.
Oh, Couladin.
Like my thinking is they leave the IOAs, they fight in Kyrian. He takes over Kyrian first, then goes to Tyr.
Okay. Question. Do you think that's a little too on the money with Dune?
I
mean, the Aiel are already sort of the Fremen, and now we've got savior coming in with the like and taking over. That's pretty dead on, and considering Dune is going to be a thing.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, didn't Robert Jordan take a lot of inspiration from Dune?
We don't know that for certain, but it sort of looks like it.
I think it's pretty definite, yes.
I suppose we'll find out here at the end of the year when the book when Michael Livingston's book comes out.
I mean, to me, the most interesting part of the Aiel is what goes on in Ruidian and
Yes.
the columns and learning about their back history and learning more about the Age of Legends and all of that. And that's so separate from anything I've seen in any other story. So I think they're going to embrace, just like they've done with the Aes Sedai and everything else, they're going to embrace the things that are unique to Robert Jordan and that will stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Adam, again, thank you again. I appreciate it, Adam. When Nynaeve and Egwene travel to Tar Valon from Shinar, Nynaeve literally tells Swan that she wished she could use a sword over the One Power. Her desires are canon. So, yes, I do think that this is one thing that they did well, but at the same time, it's not always obvious. Like most of the changes that they made in season 1 were tied, like they had some basis in the books. Now, they may not have been fleshed out bases in the books, but like they were desires. So like they took this whole like Perrin and Egwene thing, and they didn't lean hard into it, by the way, in the season, but like that Perrin sort of had a crush on Egwene, and that was sort of the issue with him and Layla, right? Like that was a real thing in the books. And there was a Layla that Perrin had like almost married in the books, right? Like those are, again, they're not from the books, but they're not completely made up out of nowhere either, right? So I think that kind of falls into the same category. Real quick, before we get going, we have not done this in a while. And I get paid a lot of money to have these sponsorships. So I figured real quick here, let me go ahead and play a quick word from our sponsor. This one is actually sponsored by Amazon because of Rings of Power. So I just want to throw that out there. This is a Rings of Power related ad. Here we go. From the makers of the Wheel of Time White Cloak comment bot comes a truly revolutionary new internet bot to help you take your Rings of Power hate to a whole new level. Introducing the Originalist bot. Think about this. You saw the preview for Rings of Power months ago, and they had the audacity, yes, the fucking nerve, to put someone with more melanin in their skin in your fantasy story. If you're like me, you immediately knew that this would be the worst television show ever made, without even knowing the plot or seeing the show. And now that it's out, it has fulfilled all of your very worst nightmares, because there are even more than one of these darker people in the show. What is an original, real, and certainly not gatekeeping Tolkien fan to do, other than take to the internet and let as many people know as possible that you're a racist piece of shit? I mean, this beta generation needs to learn from real alpha badasses like me what fantasy was like back in the day. Completely white. White as fuck. But the internet is so huge. This is where the Originalist bot comes in. Here's how it works. The Originalist bot will scan the internet for places to post your racist bullshit. It will generate a random comment on all media that mentions Rings of Power, and even some that don't, that gives your point of view. And since literally everyone shares your point of view, no one will be upset at all. Except those liberal woke snowflakes, am I right? The bot pulls from old favorites like woke, abomination, bastardized, perversion, insult, destroyed, diversity casting, all of those to create a completely unique comment that reflects your point of view. Additionally, it does something super clever. It will create your very own version of the Rings of Power title, because we can't call it that. How about Rings of Trash, or Rings of Woke, or Rings of Money Grab? It also lets everyone know that you were one of the original fans, ranking you higher than everyone else. Because no one can be a fan without your approval and permission. Here are some sample Originalist bot comments.
Woke, abomination, woke.
I have been a Tolkien fan
Since he first thought of the story.
so you could sort of call me a Tolkien originalist. I'm one of the OG founding members. I can tell that the
woke
casting and the
bastardization
of the story because of the
gay agenda
has ruined the show. I'm not a racist, but
diversity casting
has
destroyed
this story for me. The books are ruined.
abomination woke diversity gay woke
I have been a Tolkien fan,
since even before I was an incel.
so you could sort of call me a Tolkien originalist. I'm one of the OG founding members. I can tell that the
Trash
casting of the
abomination
story because of
Antifa
ruined the show. I'm not a racist, but
Stacey Abrams
has
eviscerated
the story for me. The books are ruined. So if you're someone who thinks that Galadriel is a Mary Sue for killing a troll, but Legolas was perfectly dope doing the shit he did in Lord of the Rings, the originalist comment bot might be for you. Because fuck Amazon for trying to make money with a show that people want to see, but thank God for the Tolkien estate who also made money selling those rights. They're being totally fucked over by Amazon, right?
Finally, you said what we were all thinking.
Right? It's about time somebody said it. Anyways, thank you to Amazon for paying for that. That's a joke. They didn't pay for that. So, okay. All of that junk out of the way.
I think we better see a Rand Tassel shot one more time. Just real quick. Yeah, thank you.
Very important. Thank you.
That's what this show
yeah.
is coming to. So I wanted to throw up a couple different scenes on the board so we can talk about them a little bit. So
I got to say one thing real quick. Someone commented on that GIF, and they instead of flicker, 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 they said flick, 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 and that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. All right, I'm done. Sorry.
Flick, 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 flick. I love that. So I want to start with this clip or this scene. So this is presumably it's a hand holding another hand covered in blood. Now, the voiceover here was that Ishamael basically is going around and waking up all the Forsaken. And I think we're meant to think by seeing this that this is a Forsaken, probably Lanfear, being awoken by Ishamael. Is that the way you took it?
Who are you asking?
Either of you, whichever of you feels confident talking about it.
I mean, I did talk about this in my video, and I did think about that, but as one of many possibilities. Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a casting call for someone covered in blood or not
for a nude body double for a scene
where
they were covered in blood?
Yeah, so that makes me think of like the weird Uruk-hai birth scenes in the Lord of the Rings where they like come up out of the ground and like I don't know what is the blood from.
It is really odd if that is a Forsaken because that's not the way Ishamael woke up, right?
Right.
So where is he going to awaken the Forsaken?
Or was it? Are we going to see like a cut to Matrix scene where he's like inside of a pod and he like breaks out of the pod covered with blood? You know, I don't know.
The thousands of other pods with all the other Forsaken.
Now I see this and I don't know. Gwendolyn Sadai just posted this, and I'm not sure if now, of course, the quote from the books is what is it? Blood
calls blood.
Blood calls blood. I'm not sure if she meant to say blood.
Well,
like
it might say all of that. I'm gonna look
like,
it up.
do you think that this is tied to that? Like, do you think that the blood calls blood has anything to do with the fact that this person is covered in blood?
I don't know. Maybe. I think that this could be Ishamael's hand, but I don't think it necessarily is from him waking her up.
Yeah, it says daughter of the night. She walks again, and then later it says blood feeds blood, blood calls blood, blood is and blood was and blood shall ever be. So actually, now I'm leaning a little bit more to this being Lanfear because maybe they're making this a little more literal with blood in some way.
My other thought was that maybe she posing as Selene is going to try to stage, this elaborate damsel in distress situation like she did in the books, but just way more hardcore, and that's Rand's hand.
See, I thought that was Rand's hand.
Yeah, I did it first too, but then seeing the sleeve
doesn't look right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there is that shot of Rand wearing black and white, like nicer clothes when he's laying down in bed, and then you see him
real quick.
walking with. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Let me pause. Emma. I'll just say this: we're gonna keep it non-spoilers past books, like where you're at. So
Okay.
we'll say spoilers up to the Shadow Rising today. Don't say anything beyond that. Cool. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut
Works
you
for
off.
me. Yep. I just
Just
have
in
a
case
comment.
you were about to spoil the ending to the books, Lauren.
Oh, that's
go
good.
ahead.
I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh, the coat. So we see Ishamael wearing like black and white, but there is that shot of Rand wearing what looks like maybe a dark coat and a white shirt with Lan and Moraine behind him in the firelight or the smoke or whatever's going on in that one scene. So it definitely could be his hand. Who's he rescuing though? Is it still Lanfear or Selene?
Right. And I think the other big wild card is that, we know there's going to be dream scenes again. Oh, we've got a wig. Excellent. Very nice.
Shane,
So
thank you.
any of these weird shots could just be from a dream, which kind of opens up a lot more crazy, wacky things that could be going on.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
we saw a bloody hand in a dream in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, we did, and it adds into a couple other things here with this too. Is like this scene. Like I feel like the answer to all of this is, oh, it could be a dream,
Yeah, it better be.
right? Like this. What is this?
No one's that perfectly shaved unless they're dreaming, right?
Well, beyond that, he looks like, if you watch the scene, he looks surprised that he's tied up.
Right, like almost like he woke up in that moment, shackled.
Right.
Yeah.
Or he's meant to be there for effect. Because I think that this could be, I think that could be Egwene or Nynaeve's accepted testing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might not be a dream necessarily, but
well, we do know from one of those behind the scenes teasers that there's somebody walking towards him who I think is a woman. I really feel like it's a Lanfear moment. Like it seems like a thing she would set up.
I agree with that. I think it's possible that I would be surprised if that's a real thing, because to me that's like very strange. That who would capture him and put him on a wheel in the middle like that. It doesn't. I will be disappointed if that's like a real thing and not a dream. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I'll be a little disappointed.
Well, and we're also getting from the audio, we're getting this idea that Ishamael's whole goal here is to try to convince the dragon to break the wheel of time or to stop the wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that he would do this kind of imagery, or that the Forsaken would, to try to convince him, hey,
if you're literally chained to this, you have no options unless you break it. Yeah.
Right. Do you want actual free will? I'm offering you free will, that kind of a thing.
Well, so this clip right here is sort of thirst trappy. So is this one.
Mm-hmm.
They knew their audience.
Oh yeah, they did. I wanted to point out one other clip though that I think has a lot of discussion happening, and it's this one. So,
oh yeah,
like I'll be. There's a couple things I find odd about this clip specifically. First of all, what are your thoughts on it, Lauren?
Well, I'm pretty convinced it's the Darkfriend social. I think that they're intentionally kind of trying to make us think it might be the Forsaken, but it seems pretty clear that the guy in the not far left, but just above the one on the far left, I think that's Pat and Fane. I think the sleeves, the hands, and even the rings, when you brighten it up, definitely match Pat and Fane. And
next
not
to
to
the
mention
white glove guy.
Yeah, next to the white glove. Not to mention he's got like a bigger thing over his poofy hair. So I think that's really him. And then who the others are, I don't know, but I think we might see a white cloak as well. Definitely some Aes Sedai. So it's a Darkfriend social.
How do you feel about Pat and Fane being at the Darkfriend social and being a Darkfriend and not more death combined? Like, do you think they're leaning into just making Pat and Fane like the head Darkfriend, or like?
Maybe. I don't know if I really care if they do that or not. I do hope they kind of go the route of, oh, he's also something more. Like he's a little bit scarier than your average Darkfriend. But
Matt would like to know why you're wearing a wig.
You come over here and pull on it, Matt. It's real, I swear. It's interesting because I like the angle that Pat and Fane takes the dagger and then sort of slowly gets infected by it, that he hasn't yet been infected by Mordith. I don't know that Mordith is an actual character in the show. I think they may be skipping that entirely. I think he's just going to slowly break free of his shackles with the Dark One. And I think we're going to see that sort of change over time.
So I agree with that direction if they weren't going to change his ending. Because I
Yeah,
just made
right.
a video on Pot on Fame. Like, I feel like he became a wasted character in the sense that he just kind of ended. Like,
Right.
there wasn't really any use for him after he cuts Rand. Like,
Yeah.
like that was it. And then, so
Well, we
not,
have to be kind of careful getting past book 4 spoilers, by the way. But I do think that some of the stuff they intended to set up with Matt in season 1 fell flat because Barney Harris left. And I do think that they're trying to set up something more between Matt and Pat and Fane, which I won't talk further on that.
Well, sure.
I think it's a good plan.
I have a couple issues, or I don't want to say issues, more question marks for this. So there are 12 seats at the table, obviously, if you count them. So there's 13 Forsaken. So I don't think this is meant to be symbolic of the Forsaken or anything like that. The issue the question I have of it, the 12 tribes. Question I have is, yes, Ishamael is the one that's unmasked there, but it seems very odd to me to choose a round table.
Yeah.
Which, like, round tables in mythos of all of this, including the King Arthur legend, are meant to symbolize equality for all those sitting around the table. And I don't think the shadow follows those types of things. So I wonder, is this a shot that there's some deeper meaning or symbolism to it? Or do you think it was just, we thought it looked cool?
I mean, it could be they thought it looked cool. It also could be maybe they're going to have some more organization with the Dark Friends. Like, there's like leaders that have kind of their own little groups and stuff, and maybe these are the 12 leaders or something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an MLM, and this is the top tier.
Yeah.
So
you gotta recruit 5 more.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of recruits under them, and then more under them.
You do have to wonder how our Dark Friends recruited.
Well, this is one of the things I absolutely love about season 1 and some of the changes they're making is the Dark Friends almost seem like they have a good excuse for being Dark Friends. Dana, the Dark Friend, I liked her reasons for being a Dark Friend. I mean, she went about it wrong, but so I'm
Dana
actually really
great.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that this is the exact kind of thing that Ishii would do. He is sitting in the nicest chair there, by the way. He's still kind of got like his little throne. Everyone else has different chairs. He's got like a throne.
You're right. He does. I agree.
But I genuinely think that he's trying to make them feel like they're special, like they're part of his inner circle. And again, we don't want to get too spoilery, but Ishamael and what he's telling the Dark Friends isn't necessarily his end game, as we know from the ending of the series, right? There's a little bit of miscommunication between what the Dark Friends want and what Ishamael wants. And so it'll be interesting to see how if they change that, because Dana, the Dark Friend, kind of leaned more towards what we know of the ending of the series. So I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with that, but I think he's just tricking them, making them feel included.
I do love that we're actually going to, I mean, we already knew we were going to get the Dark Friend social, but I think it's cool that it's in there. So I want to show this clip, and I want wrong answers only. What is Loyal screaming about? Wrong answers only.
His safe word.
Yes.
I think he's just constipated. They're trying to help him out.
Yeah. I was going to say, is this a shot of an Ogier orgasming?
Maybe that's how it has to happen. Those are trees pulling those ropes.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
The question is, what is Loyal in all reality? Right answers this time. What is he upset about? Like, what do you think is happening? I see some. Actually, hold on. Before we answer that, I gotta show some of these. He just spotted his mother.
That's good. I was thinking it's something to do with Aerith, but I couldn't piece it together.
Somebody bent a book cover in front of him.
He saw some ears.
Loyal has ED.
Oh no.
Oh boy, this one's serious. They're making him watch the horse die in the never-ending story over and over again.
That's mean.
It's just torture.
Anyways, okay. So what is he yelling about, do you think?
I mean, I think that the Shan-Chan are just tying him down and he's trying to fight back. That's my guess. My guess is that he he actually gets angry and fights and takes down a bunch of soldiers, and they finally get the ropes around him and pull him down.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a similar part of the scene that we saw that brief shot of Uno on his knees, where they appear to be captive in some way.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's go to that, because they are seriously painting the Shan-Chan, as they are in the first couple books, as flat out effing evil, like awful evil. Like,
Yeah, it's great.
Also, can I just say that armor is hella cool?
It
Yes,
is
it
so
is.
cool.
I'm a big fan.
I'm
and
not
if
sure.
you haven't, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure how usable it would be, but
Well, if you watch, Lesbian Nerdy has this series on like all the details in the costuming, and it's fantastic. And she just released a video about this, and there are details in this costuming that I
gotta
didn't
go watch
notice.
that.
Yeah, it's really good.
They've been so good.
One of the things I was going to say about that shot about Loyal is the scene I want it to be, but I don't think that it is when he and Rand are in Kyrian in the streets fighting the puppet Trollocs that are actual Trollocs.
Oh,
And he grabs one and swings it around until he kills it. Remember that? I love that
yes.
scene. And that's the first time Loyal takes a life, and it's kind of like a big deal for him.
You're
That's
right.
that's the scene I want it to be, but I just don't see Loyal ending up with Rand and Kyrian.
I agree. On this scene, tell me that that's not a baseball bat in that Shan-Chan's hand.
I literally think they painted a baseball bat.
Like, that's a baseball bat. Is this? And
Like
I made the joke in my breakdown. Is that Negan
I did
from
too.
Walking Dead? Like,
I did too. Same joke.
like, are they about to bash Uno over the head with a baseball bat here? That would take a turn.
I mean, I'm more interested in that Daco Vale or whatever that servant is on the far left. She doesn't look like she's wearing underwear. And
No.
she looks like she's meant to be that sort of like pretty doesn't speak servant that follows Suroth around.
Well, and if they are doing this septum piercing thing that hangs over your mouth, like just says you're not supposed to speak,
That's it. Yeah.
like I see that there certainly. I can see Uno dying here. I'm serious. Like, I can see this.
Same.
I think this clip happens after the fights that we see where Uno's fighting, and
I agree.
I think this is probably like the day after that.
Exactly. And the lady has come along, and now they have to, receive judgment. And my guess is if they swear the oaths, they'll be free to go. And he's either being forced to free the oath or he won't, and he'll be killed. And there's that reaction shot of Perrin where he has that very visceral reaction to something that feels like it's in the exact same scene.
Yes.
He could be seeing Uno dying. Although I'm hopeful that he's seeing something like Egwene channeling for the first time, or maybe even Hopper dying. That's what I want.
Well, on that note, let me pull up another couple Shan-Chan clips here. So first of all, are we all in agreement that's Suroth?
I think so.
And that's Karima McAdams playing Suroth?
I think so too. Unless they're doing some sort of, it's actually a Forsaken pretending to be Suroth / Suroth is a Forsaken in the show.
That I wouldn't be surprised by, honestly.
The Karima McAdams just looks like the way I imagine Lanfear, so I don't want to let that go, but
I know, same.
We'll see.
Well, I thought this was kind of cool. This is an interesting detail. So obviously they've decided to go with the like nail attachments rather than the actual grown out nails, which I actually like.
Yeah, although some people think that they are their real nails and those are just reinforcements to kind of hold them there.
I don't think so
know.
from looking at it this way. I don't think so. But either or, I like the attention to detail in the sense that she's wearing 2, because in the hierarchy, 2 is high blood, 3 would be a member of the Empress's family, and then 5 would be Empress. So, like, it's
I also find it's interesting that her mouth is the only thing uncovered. So I think they're really going for this whole like voice Shan-Chan, who can speak, who can't.
She's allowed to speak, yeah.
Well, and if you see, if that's Turok there in the middle,
that's probably his voice in the back, right?
Right, probably. And you see the claw or the nails on his hand.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Is he holding a sword in that shot? I really can't tell. But
it's hard to tell if he is or not.
It's such an odd position if he isn't.
Right.
He's like wielding. He's like doing the Wolverine claws.
It's literally just his fingernails are enough of a weapon. He doesn't need a sword.
What was is it Deathstrike, the lady in X-Men 2 that has the Never mind.
I don't
okay.
remember.
Okay, real quick here. I was trying to click the wrong board. So, Nicholas, thank you. Might be biased, but Ferris depiction of Ishamael is superior to the book so far. Much more menacing in his subtlety. Wait a minute. Book 7 is. Oh shoot! I said book 4. Okay.
Yeah, we can't talk too much about it.
I won't talk too much about this, but I will say I agree with you. I don't think they're portraying. I don't even think they're attempting to portray Ishamael as he is at the beginning of the story.
Right. I don't think Bazilmon is a thing, which is sad to me because I like the sort of insane Bazilmon, like thinks he's the Dark One stuff, and I want to see that, but they're going for more subtle, almost like charming villain, and I'm okay with that.
Well, without getting into spoilers, they've not. I think they're taking away the reason that he was Bazilmon crazy spoil. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that thing is going to exist in the show. Does that make sense?
Oh, really? That would sadden me, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Unless they want to bring it in later.
Well, so do you think...
I want to avoid that because of the spoilers.
Well, okay, but do you think that his fiery eyes and mouth are just a trick then? Because of the way they treat it in episode 8, where he just
I think it was him.
Go away.
I think it was him trying to be scary.
It's an illusion, Michael.
That saddens me because, well, yeah. I'll be honest. I want them to trust us as an audience just a little bit more. There are some things that Robert Jordan did so well that I feel like they're leaving them out almost because they're like, people aren't going to get it. And I'm like, well, no, give us the benefit of the doubt,
Well, people still, to everybody's, to defend that on that particular issue, most people still don't get that. I've had to explain that over and over and over and over and over.
Well, that's the name of it. That's the problem. You could name it something more clear, but you're right. That's, I forget how deep we are in the book sometimes.
Let's talk about, where did it go? First of all, this is not much to talk about other than how beautiful this is. I love everything they have done showing Swan Sanche. Like, that costume is amazing.
I agree. I mean, that's a stole, but I don't see any colors on it. Do you think that that's the Amerlin stole, like a version of it?
I don't know.
Or is it maybe under her, that sort of cape she's wearing? Maybe, I don't know.
It's a good question.
Yeah, that was the only part that confused me a little bit. Is where's that?
This is another super minor thing, but she's wearing gloves with the Aes Sedai ring over them.
Yep,
and I'm like,
it's white.
Do they have different sized Aes Sedai ring holes, or do they use the power to like change it so it doesn't slip off?
Asking the important question. Yeah.
Well,
keep you up at night.
Speaking of unanswered questions, I think the White Cloaks are galloping towards the wall to immediately dismount from their horses, but
so they can use crossbows. Yeah.
Yes. Oh boy. Sort of a repeat here of episode 8. This is like the fundamental misunderstanding of what cavalry is, and how it's used.
Well, I definitely don't think they're charging here. I think the guy in the front is what's his name, Bors. I think that's who that is, and I think that there's some sort of agreement between him and whoever's on the other side of that gate. In the previous shot, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we pretty much have confirmation that the building behind Swan in that shot is the Kyrian set? The blue tiles?
I wouldn't say confirmation. There have been some things that imply that the Amerlin seat might show up in a different place from the White Tower, which I think could mean Kyrian.
I think I would, if you had to ask me, I would say yes, this is Kyrian, for a couple of reasons. I think it gives them a reason to get Swan and Moraine connected somehow again.
And hopefully Varen and Rand in a room as well with them.
I'll tell you something. I have a theory right now, and it's not a theory I like. I don't think we're going to get Varen this season.
Really? That would sadden me. I think she's replacing Adilius and Vandene, and I think she'll be in Kyrian and well, I hope she'll be in Kyrian with Swan and Moraine, and they'll have that whole "You're the Dragon Reborn" talk.
But I don't think. Okay, so maybe that will happen. I just don't think we're going to get Varen being Varen, like, because Varen, just having Varen in the show isn't enough. You need Varen to be Varen. Like, does that make sense? Like, in the sense that you need her to kind of be the oblivious, but not oblivious.
So do you think?
Oh, and by the way, we have to be very careful.
Yeah. So do you also think we won't get the 5 will ride forth moment?
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen. No.
I don't know if I'll necessarily get that. I mean, I was kind of expecting she'd be in the tower, but if they are going the route of her taking the place of Adelius and Banding, which I think is a good idea as well, she could be, I don't know, anywhere. So
I'm doing the same
Morgan's
thing.
trying to find her.
Yeah, I mean, that's my hope. I'm doing the same thing I did with season 1. All my hopes from what I'm seeing in the clips,
Sure.
I want them to make sense based on the book. So, I'm sure I'll be disappointed in some ways, but that's my headcanon. She's in Kyrian. She's meeting with Varen, with Moraine and Rand. And I think Varen will be there or will be involved in some way.
Because I mean, nothing in that oath Moraine did said that she couldn't ever talk to Swan again. She just can't come back to the White Tower. So.
Right. And they are expanding Maureen's story quite a bit.
Well, on top of that, though, like they hinted at during the panel that Lan can't feel Moraine through the bond anymore.
Yes.
Which either means one of two things. It either means they are, if she's just shielded, then she should be able to be.
Well, but she did mask the bond before she was shielded
at first, yeah, and then she got shielded.
Right, and they made a pretty strong point about masking the bond in season 1. They talked about it like at least 3 times.
Fair enough. I
just assumed that she just couldn't undo it because now she can't channel.
Well,
I just had another crazy theory about this. In Faldara, when the Armorlancy is leaving and someone attempts to kill her, I know a lot of people think that Sofia Kaneda won't last as Swan, that she'll be dying maybe as early as season 2. That could be a moment where that happens. They could kill her off.
They definitely could. Real quick, I want to because again we have to pay the bills around here. We have another commercial here real quick for you all. Here we go.
Do you have relationship problems? Difficulty understanding what other people in your life are thinking? Do you struggle to interact with the important individuals around you? There is a solution. Introducing the newest innovation in human relations, talking. Talking has the potential to solve 50% of the problems that arise during human interactions. Take this situation, for example.
So I met this girl. She's kind of a princess, and we get along really well. We had some fun times for a few days, making out in corners and stuff. But then I had to go off on a business trip, and she sent me 2 letters. And they're really confusing because they say like opposite things. One is really romantic and kind of sexy. And the other one, she fucking hates me. I don't know what to do.
Have you tried talking to her about it?
Well, I'm really far away now, so...
Right, and it's not like in the time since you left, you've discovered some way to travel long distance instantly, right?
Or this situation.
So what seems to be the problem?
I just don't know what to do. My husband, he just doesn't seem to understand how marriages are supposed to work, and he's being super sus about another woman. And I've tried everything. I've tried avoiding him. I've tried not talking to him.
Right, but have you tried actually talking to him?
Or take this relationship, for example.
So there's like this other girl, and I really like her. And we kind of had a moment. Well, more than a moment. We spent a night in an igloo together, if you know what I mean. But now, I really don't know what's going on. She's being like super weird. She'll be naked in front of me, but she won't let us, do anything. And I know it's a cultural thing, but I keep trying to guess what she wants, and I can't figure it out. So I've been basically trying to avoid her, but that doesn't seem to be solving the problem.
Okay, but have you tried talking to her?
Well, how can I do that and avoid her at the same time?
Right, well, you would have to stop the avoiding for this to work.
Or how about a situation like this?
I don't know what to do about my wife. One moment she smells fine, and then the next moment she smells super jealous. And then she'll smell angry and horny. And then she'll just smell hurt. And I just don't know what to do.
Well, instead of smelling your wife, have you tried talking to her?
What?
Or even a situation like this one.
Okay, so there's this other girl, and I really, really like her. But she keeps doing this thing where she sits on my lap and sort of grinds into me during meetings. I'm trying to conduct international diplomatic meetings, and she'll come in the room in her tight pants and sit on my lap and grind into me, and it makes me super uncomfortable, and I guess what do I do?
Have you tried.
I know you're gonna say I should talk to her, right?
Actually, no. In this case, you need to talk to HR. This is clearly sexual harassment.
Talking, the newest innovation in human interaction. Try it today.
So, I just forgot I left that up on the screen. In case you were not aware, Jenny from Lesby Nerdy has joined the crew at Tarval and After Dark. She is our new co-host. So we have episodes that release every Tuesday, except for tomorrow because we couldn't record this weekend because time differences suck. And when a problem comes up, we can't reschedule. So she does live in Korea.
That is a problem.
I will say I won't be playing it here. You guys definitely need to listen. Lesby Nerdy or Jenny does this bit that's like making fun of Alex Jones InfoWars, but Wheel of Time stuff. And I am telling you, I cannot stop laughing the entire time. It's so dead on. Like, anyways, very, very dead on. So, what were we talking about? Wheel of Time or Alf? I can't remember.
Alf of Time.
Let's talk about how many cats did Alf eat?
So let's talk about this scene.
Oh yeah.
First of all, what do we think about? I mean, that's pretty clearly an IDOM, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about, first of all, the way it looks?
I like it, and I also like that. You know how they modify it later? Again, this is vague spoilers for later. Try to be careful, but they modify it so that they remove the leash in the books. I think they'll just modify it to make it more like just a simple collar.
Yeah.
Later.
I think this is a good visual change because it's just more noticeable, which is good for TV. Kind of a similar thing that they did with the rings. Not that you have to like what they did with the rings or not, but they're definitely very obvious.
and the fingernails, like the fingernails are only an inch long in the books.
Right. Well, I would say the only thing about the IDOM being like that is I do think there's a visual symbolism to the actual leash connecting the person.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, I wonder if that's what she wears normally, and then when they want to take her out, they connect her with a leash just for this visual symbolism, because it literally is awful. Like, the way Robert Jordan describes like that Damani Suldam, or like, it's literally one of the most horrifying things I can imagine.
Right. They're treated like animals. They literally leash them. And I guess my opinion is I want to see the leash because I agree with you that it's just so awful and it makes the Shanshan so terrible. And it's such a strong symbol. That said, I got the impression that those mouth cover / bowel gag things are what they're using in place of that.
Yeah.
To show that same kind of like, you're beneath me. You can't even talk, you know?
Well, okay, so anything else? Because that was the primary like clips that we've talked about a lot of the other stuff. There were a lot of things they talked about during the actual panel, right? That I think are worth talking about. So is there anything that stood out for those that maybe didn't get a chance to watch the panel that stood out to you all that they said?
Well, you're that ad you played with the inability to just communicate and only base things on smell made me think of Perrin and Fail. And I got the impression from the panel that I'm not even sure that Marcus Rutherford is aware that he has a romantic interest coming. Like that was the impression I got from the panel.
Well, that was a takeaway. So for everybody, I think we can say, we can definitely say this. Fail is a thing, but not this season. They basically said, like Rafe said, I don't think Marcus even knows who this is yet, but that person will be written about in the writer's room in season 3 or something like that. Like,
it's pretty clear.
Yeah. So I didn't realize it. I forgot he said that directly. Yeah. Didn't they say something about a relationship with him and a canine though? So my guess is Hopper. I mean, we've heard that Hopper's in season 2, right? So
well, we know Hopper will be in season 2. So I highly recommend, by the way, when you guys get a chance to watch Geeky Erie's video on YouTube about if you don't want if you don't care about possible spoilers, because she does a pretty good job, I think, of laying out exactly what's going to happen. And I tend to agree with most of her assertions. Like, they're pretty well backed up. And Geeky Area, if you guys are not aware, has GPS tracking devices attached. You remember when everybody was talking about if you took the vaccine, you would have a microchip inserted in you and they could track you? That was actually all a ploy for Erie to be able to track where all of the actors and actresses go, because she seems to know where they're at all times.
It's definitely true.
Just throwing that out there.
And not even actors that we know have been cast yet, just like every actor on the planet. She's tracking every single one.
I mean, I would say, Sarah, how do you all do this? Like, how do you uncover some of the crazy stuff you all uncover? But
way too much time
on
the internet is about it.
Fair enough.
It's so funny. I've been sitting in panels at like WotCon and at JordanCon with Omar on his laptop doing Google searches for stuff during the panel. Like, he is constantly doing that when he has time to, and I find that incredible. I'm guessing, Sarah, you do the same thing.
I'll never tell.
I'll tell you what, the best thing about hanging out with or spending any time with Omar whatsoever, that man uses the Notes app on his MacBook more than anybody I have ever seen in my life. And he's like, oh no, I'm never very organized. I'm like, dude, nobody does that. Like, it didn't matter what it is. Like, you could be talking about WotCon, you could be talking about a grocery list. I think he creates a new note on his MacBook and just like incredible.
I got to hang out with him and Matt a couple weeks ago at Salt Lake Comic Con. It's called FanX. And we did a panel where we talked about all the things we know. And it was so great because we were talking about theory. We would just talk about, this wasn't on the panel, just as we were, together. We were talking about different theories about the show and what could happen. And Omar just kept saying, well, actually, based on this set photo that we saw here at this place, that's probably not likely because of this and that. Like, he just knew so much. And I was just like, I need that in my brain. It's so wonderful.
Well, speaking of WotCon, anybody want some WotCon information?
Yeah.
No,
Too bad you're all going to have to wait. Sorry.
Okay.
I will say this. We have some guests locked down, but I'm not going to announce who yet. We have a date locked down, and I'm not going to announce that yet because I'm a jerk. But the reason I mentioned WotCon got some pretty high publicity at the New York Comic Con. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
Hell yeah.
Our good friend Joe Perry from Talk Around Riyadh podcast was wearing his WotCon shirt and got up on the live broadcast with it on and asked Rafe a question, which was very, very cool.
I'm sorry, that was just really cool to like see him actually talking to them, and it made me
it was
happy.
literally the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. We were all like, what?
We
awesome.
know him. Yeah, that was awesome. So yes, that was definitely great, and he asked a really good question. And yeah, on the WotCon stuff, I will say this to you all: we will have some major announcements here. I'll say probably within the month. Would probably be where that would happen. We'll have some major announcements and things, and it'll be fun. So yeah, it is happening again though. So WotCon is happening.
Exciting. I'm assuming after JordanCon again. Can you say that at least?
Yeah, it'll be in July of next year.
Good.
Yep. So
can't wait.
Any other thoughts on the Comic-Con release? Because I have one more thing I want to chat about after this, but any thoughts on the stuff that was said at Comic-Con? Or
really quickly want to point out Rafe's comment that he said this season is screaming, crying, fighting, and two people talking in a room. And I thought that was pretty great.
Did you see that picture of Rafe with Brandon at New York Comic Con?
Yes.
Oh, that was so wonderful. And Rafe looked a little bit frazzled or something. I just loved it so much.
And like the person running the New York Comic Con Twitter account was a Wheel of Time fan.
Right.
Are they talking about
great.
season 2?
Okay, so last topic. When is the release date? Because I actually predicted we would get the release date here. I thought they would at least give us that, and we didn't get it. And all the implications to me, here's the way I read it, because Rafe said it'll be a while. What that tells me is he doesn't know yet.
Yeah, and the Twitter account said a ways away, capital way, because they love that.
I think that's just them not knowing.
Yeah, he also had that comment a while back. Maybe it was at San Diego Comic Con about how the gap between Rings of Power and Wheel of Time season 2 will be longer than you think, or something.
Yeah. My feeling is the reason they don't know isn't because they don't know where they're at with VFX or they don't know where they're at with final cuts. My feeling is they don't know where Amazon is at, because my guess is they've been all told to shut up about everything until Rings of Power has, overstayed its welcome. That's my guess.
Well, certainly, I guess my small disappointment with it is this. And I don't know, I can speak for me and not for anybody else, but I will say since Rings of Power has been on, I have noticed a massive uptick in interest in Wheel of Time anything.
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's across the different profiles that I'm a part, like what YouTube, all across, Twitter. I've seen more activity around the keywords Wheel of Time, new people coming in that maybe weren't there before. So there's clearly a group of people who are watching Rings of Power because they knew that property, then binging through it and feeling like, oh gosh, I loved that. And then
Right.
seeing Wheel of Time pop up on their thing and watching it and being like, this was really good. Where'd that come from?
And that's kind of exactly what we were all like hoping would happen. That
Yeah, I thought we were going to have a full-blown trailer by the end of
I
Rings
did
of
too.
Power.
I did
And
too.
they still may play something for at the end of Rings, the Rings of Power finale, but it might just be a season 1 trailer, honestly.
Well, I'll also be disappointed for this reason. They have, and this is mainly for the American audience, and many of you may not care about this, but Amazon, the second biggest property that Amazon is paying money right now behind Rings of Power, actually, I think it's the first biggest. I think it's bigger than Rings of Power, is Thursday Night Football for the NFL. They are shelling out, I want to say like $2 billion a year for access to. So Thursday Night Football is a big deal in terms of viewership.
Well,
right?
yeah, the amount of money they're making makes that investment worth it. Absolutely.
And they're advertising the shit out of Rings of Power during Thursday Night Football if you watch it. Like it's every other commercial break is Rings of Power. So to not have a Wheel of Time trailer is a little disappointing to me because Thursday Night Football is going to go on for far longer. Like Rings of Power is over next week.
Yeah.
They've got another 8, 9, 10 weeks of football on Thursday nights. So I wish we had a trailer for them to be able to say Wheel of Time release date X time, right?
Yeah. The thing is, though, the thing about streaming services, it's not like people have to tune in the day the Rings of Power episode comes out. I'm guessing they know that people are going to be watching the Rings of Power through Christmas, and it'll still be advertised heavily. It's crazy. I don't watch a lot of sports, but I see advertisements for Rings of Power everywhere, obviously on Twitter, but also opening up Photoshop right now, it's an ad for Rings of Power. Opening up Adobe Illustrator, it's an ad for Rings of Power. It's insane. Like even like Adobe software, which I use daily in my day job, is advertising Rings of Power to me constantly. So they're really just everywhere. And I think, I like the uptick. I was going to say, Nae'Blis, I don't know if you've noticed this, but on YouTube, I've been making pretty consistent content and haven't been seeing a lot of growth until just the last few weeks. It feels like that momentum is starting again and people are getting excited for season 2 of the Wheel of Time. And I'm actually a little bit worried that if Amazon doesn't sort of take advantage of this interest, that it'll fizzle.
Well, it's very possible. I think people have now there's two trains of thought to this, because you could argue people lose the luster, but then something like Stranger Things, for instance, like goes off the air for a year and a half, 2 years, and it comes back on and I'm like glued to the television to watch it all the way through. Like it may fall out of my mind. So it's not in the, so I saw somebody comparing this, like, and again, there was an article that was out today and I can't remember who wrote it, talking about Rings of Power has had, in effect, it's had a lot of viewers, but it hasn't been like the cultural landmark, for instance, that Game of Thrones was when it originally came out. Right. I would argue House of the Dragon has been better than Game of Thrones in some respects, but it's definitely not the same either. Like it's not the landmark that Game of Thrones originally was in terms of what happened. So like I don't know that we're ever going to see that moment again, that moment in time where Game of Thrones took over pop culture, because it did. Like I mean it in the sense that I've made this reference before. People in my hometown here in Columbus on the sports talk radio stations did segments on the week before Game of Thrones. Like that was the level that it reached where everybody had seen it.
Right.
And I don't know that they're doing that about Rings of Power or House of the Dragon or right like
Yeah, I just don't think anything is gonna get to that level again, really. I mean, it was kind of lightning in a bottle. It had the perfect
Right.
circumstances from all different aspects to kind of come together and become what it was. But that's why I get so irritated with all the articles. Is this the next Game of Thrones? No, it's not. Stop it. Stop trying to make that happen.
Yeah, I don't even think it's supposed to be. I mean, of course, they would like that success. They want everyone talking about it at the water cooler. To be fair, at my office, which I don't go to very often anymore, but the few times I go there, people are like, "Hey, have you been watching Rings of Power?" People that I know who would never watch Game of Thrones or Wheel of Time. So they are aware of it. There are more people aware of it. My parents called me yesterday and they were like, "Hey, have you been watching Rings of Power?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm making videos about it, Mom. Come on, why aren't you watching my videos?" But I mean, so even people like my parents who would never be caught dead with Game of Thrones on their TV, they're watching it. So I do think it like you said, lightning in a bottle. I don't think we'll ever get to that point. I secretly hope that someday we'll have a Cosmere level, like Marvel Cinematic Universe level thing where it will get as big again, but that remains to be seen.
Do you know what a show? I know they don't have the rights to it. I would love for Amazon if Wheel of Time like runs its, and I know that Red Eagle's supposedly going to make the movies. I want to see I would love to see Outriggers for Wheel of Time. I would love to see Age of Legends, like the whole fall and like the breaking of the world. Like I would love to see through that, and I would love to see Arthur Hawkwing. I think there are two storylines there that would be incredible. Like the Arthur Hawkwing storyline, starting with Guaramala, that would be Game of Thrones level.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
If they wanted to do it, like
it would feel like Game of Thrones.
Cool.
I completely agree, and I think people would be if it's good, people would be a little less critical because they don't have that much from the books to compare to. Kind of like the Rings of Power, if we're being honest. Like they're taking a lot of creative liberties, sort of sticking with the lore, but also kind of doing things their own way. And I don't know. For me, it's working. I don't know if it's
there's
working.
Just not a lot of lore. There's not a lot of source material that they have to go.
Yeah, they have to do some gymnastics because they don't own the rights to all the source material. They only own the rights to some of it. So
my opinion with the Age of Legends thing that Red Eagle's supposedly doing is that they're intentionally trying to sell it to Sony or Amazon, that they'll never actually produce it.
Well,
but I guess it's because I hope that if they do that it links with the show and it's not its own separate thing,
I think that could be so cool to watch the fall. Like just seeing that. Like I always thought that would be a cool story, but I really think the one that on the surface seems like the better one, but I think the one that would have the most drama, the most pull to it would be the story of Arthur Hawkwing.
Yeah.
Because there's so much they could do 4 seasons of. You have the whole rise of Guaramala, you have Arthur Hawkwing conquering everything, you have him ruling, and then you have sort of like the different invasions, and then you've got the fall when he dies and how he died and what happened. Like there's a lot of drama they could do with that.
You could also show, I mean, if it were successful, you could even show them moving to Shan-Chan and starting that whole culture and everything with the Damani. I was going to say, too, how awesome would it be to see Ferris show up as the Shamael?
Yes,
yes, please.
Yep. All right. So I promised Lauren that I wouldn't take all night, and we're getting there. So it is past time. There's one last pay the bills. This one's much shorter, but here we go.
Do you get awful headaches that just won't go away? That pounding behind your eyes just makes it so you can't concentrate or pay attention to your vital and important work? Halima can help. Hi, my name is Halima, and if you're having headaches that just won't go away, let my magic hands rub away the pain. Here at Halima's Hands Massage Parlor, I take special care to make your pain simply disappear. I have a quiet, clean space where I'll be wearing next to nothing. That's right, my boobies will basically be falling out if that's your thing. And if it isn't, fuck you. Then I'll massage and rub your scalp until your pain is simply gone. It's almost like it's magic. And if you aren't having headaches, don't worry. I can help with that too. Just come in and I'll make sure you have one and then I'll get rid of it. Halima's Hands Massage Parlor. Because your headache shouldn't mean your day doesn't have a happy ending.
I mean, who wouldn't go to Halima's hands?
Do you have a coupon? Are you giving away a coupon or anything? for
Yeah.
your listeners?
We should. That's what we should have done. But guys, thanks for coming on. Lauren,
Yeah.
what is going on? So obviously you released a breakdown of the, not, I just called the Lord of the Rings. You released a breakdown of the season 2 trailer or teaser. What else has been going on your channel that people should tune in and watch and find out about if they haven't?
Oh man, I've got so much stuff going on. I'm always fighting that urge to make quality videos and take 3 months versus actually follow the YouTube thing and try to make consistent content. And I'm quite proud of myself. I think I've released 15 videos in the last 2 months or 3 months, but some of them are very short, like recaps of different episodes of Rings of Power. And I'm even going to be releasing a YouTube short at some point soon. But I'm just trying new things, but I'm very excited to get more into the Wheel of Time stuff again. The last 2 videos I made in Wheel of Time were almost everything we know about season 2, which has been quite successful. Maybe my most successful video aside from the height of the show. And this latest one has been doing really well. My breakdown, as you guys know, I'm a little overly zealous about the details in these breakdown videos. So
that's why we watch your channel.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Yeah, lots more coming. I still haven't reviewed episode 8 or unraveled episode 8 because, I needed a 10-month break. And I still haven't done my actual season 1 review. And I am very excited to work on that Battle of Falma video with you, Nae'Blis. That's still in the works as well.
Who wants to see? Does anybody want us to do another battle video?
I do.
Or should we just quit after our one?
Yeah, they were terrible. We should never do.
Okay. Okay. Well, and I guess we won't. Well, really, the delay is because I wrote a bad script that needs edits, and I haven't edited it. That's what this delay is. So,
yeah, I'm also not working on it at all. So
we will get that. We will get that remedied. Sarah, what is going on in your world right now, as it pertains to Wheel of Time?
Well, just we're gonna try to have a write up coming on Comic-Con, and the clip that we got there, and then we have 1 or 2 maybe minor casting speculation articles. Nothing groundbreaking, but
Well, where do they find your articles if they don't know? What is the website that you're a part of or that you contribute to?
It is www.WoTSeries.com.
That is the best place to go for the written word as it pertains to news about the Wheel of Time, because most of the websites out there that give news are flat out garbage. It'll be literally horrible, not sourced properly, terrible.
Sound like they were written by a bot. Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually jarring to me when I read a WoTSeries.com article and GreatBlight.com articles by Bain and Chiad too, because they're so good. I'm like, oh, there is such a thing as quality journalism and good writing. I forgot reading news articles online all the time,
Well, and it's ironic because to my knowledge, and tell me if I'm wrong, none of you are official journalists that in your past worked for newspapers or anything like that, right?
Hey, I edited the school newspaper when I was in 7th grade, so that totally counts.
It shows.
That does count. It does count. Well, I consider you a journalist now. You're every bit as much of a journalist and a better one than most of the other garbage news outlets. So,
thank you.
The only not fake news Wheel of Time website is WoTSeries.com. Everything else, fake news.
Except for the articles we put up on April Fools. Those are fake news.
True.
We still get angry comments on those every once in a while.
That's great.
I get angry comments on my fake news videos that show the Black Tower looking like a penis. And people comment I can't believe they're doing that. Oh my.
I had to put joke in parentheses in the video title, and it still doesn't work in one of my videos. People are just angry.
Is that the woke one?
Yeah, it's the woke one.
That's so funny.
All right. Thanks for coming on, folks. If you want to, usually after the show, we will hop into Discord and chat for a little bit. I will let everybody know, and this was unplanned, but I'm sorry, it's real life. The Darkfriend Social is going to take another 3-week break because I am going to be gone again. I'm going to be traveling a lot once again. So I won't be around on Mondays. But we will be back after that and should be fine for the rest of the year. But I do have to travel one more time. So thanks you all for tuning in, and you can find the Discord link in the description of the video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Go subscribe to Unraveling the Pattern, and if Sarah ever makes a YouTube channel, subscribe to her too. So
I will not.
okay.
Thanks so much for having me. This has been awesome, and Sarah, it's great to see you again.
Well, I will. Yes, very good to see both of you. We'll talk later. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.